This is a video for assignment 9 for CEN 4802, Software Integration, Configuration, and Testing. In this assignment, we will be adding a profiling tool that will allow us to run our application and see the CPU activity in real time. For this assignment, I'm going to be using my application from assignment 8, logging assignment. If you haven't seen the video, please go back and see that. I will also be using JProfiler as my profiling tool. I have previously integrated into my IDE for a former class. My IDE, by the way, is IntelliJ Community 2019. Okay, so to begin with, we're going to run the application, make sure everything's working and functioning properly. It seems to be. It has read from our text file, and it has written to the console our logging information. So everything seems to be in order for that respect. Okay, I'm going to do a little split screen here so I can show the profiling tool and our application at the same time. We're going to go up to Run, click on it. In the drop-down menu, select Profile Main, and the profiler will scaffold up. If you'll notice on the session startup screen, a couple of things of interest at startup and exit: initial recording profile. Make sure that's set to CPU recording. Sometimes it's defaulted to no recordings, and you'll just be staring at a gray screen. Also, the JVM exit action. Keep the VM alive for profiling. You want the system to stay active. Sometimes that is also set to a default of let the JVM exit and disconnect, which will in fact disengage the profiler after it has run, which is no good either because you want to actually have time to see what's going on. Okay, we're going to run this. Initially, the application is run. You've seen a spike in the activity of CPU load. Let me show you in the telemetry screen. It has these different areas you can look at. The ones on your screen: memory, GC activity, classes, threads, CPU load. They all correspond to items you can see over here. And if you want to focus on any one of those, in our case, let's look at the CPU load. Simply do that, and there you can see the spike in activity when the program actually activated. Okay, let's stop this and let's run it again. We'll start a new session. Again, your settings are good. Let's go ahead and run it. We don't need the terminal. And there's the activity. We'll wait for it to stabilize a little bit before we give it another. I'll go ahead and get into the CPU load so you can focus on that window. We're going to run our application again, our logger, and you should see a spike in activity. And you did. There it is, as it measures it across time. You can also do a recording and actually start a recording, CPU recording, and it will record that, and then you can run it again. And then when you're ready to stop your measurement recording, you can go ahead and click Stop Recording. And we didn't get a visible start time, so we're going to do that again as something to annotate that it was starting. There you go. We're going to run it again. Watch the spike as the program runs, and then stop. And there's our period that we've monitored. You'll see at its highest point, the system load was 74.46%. I do want to take time, go back to overview, to mention the areas: memory, garbage collection activity, classes, threads, CPU load. They all have within them a color-coded process determiner. It basically lets you know what color the activity is that takes place within that area of your profiling. And you can see that for each one of the areas of the CPU activity that are being monitored. In garbage collection, there's not much going on now, but you can actually run that manually. And if there's anything in there, you'll see that activity. Here we go. Up here we see what was the maximum activity on that. Let's see if I can capture it. 7.7%. Yeah, so it wasn't much. I would like to add again that this is a console application we're using to monitor. If this was a web application, you'd be able to see activity and things like latency on a login screen when you log in, and it has to go retrieve that information from a database through the server and return any pertinent information it needs to build your a screen. Like it opens your account screen, gives you a balance or sales items or whatever you have there. So it's really a great tool for analyzing websites. When you're finished, you can stop or just close out the J profiler, and that is it. And that is a good synopsis of the profiler and how that works in our applications. Thank you.